I saw this on MSN when I was looking, just through the news or whatever, and I go through the food section, and they had crockpot Korean pork tacos, right? So I'm like, that sounds delicious. And I've had Korean pork tacos at restaurants before, but in looking at many recipes, I mean, even at work I was looking all day, and I could not find a single one that I like. As you can see, I have a bunch of ingredients written down with no measurements whatsoever, and this is usually how I start a recipe, is I get a bunch of ingredients I want to use, and then the hard part is trying to, normally I would just toss this, toss that, and then it usually turns out good, but then I can never duplicate it, and that's why I started writing my recipes down a couple years ago. Thing is, you gotta do the work the night before, right? So we're gonna make a rub, and then we're gonna marinate the pork overnight. So I'm starting out with a Boston butt pork roast, bone out. I'm going to grab my large fillet knife. Just going to take the steel, run it across here a couple times. Make sure our blade's got a crisp edge on there. Wipe it off any shards. So, I mean, obviously we can't trim all the fat off of this thing because there's a bunch in the middle, but I saw some recipes where you chop it up and in the different pieces, and like, I mean, just there's so many of them out there, and I don't like any of them. So once again, I'm writing my own. And even if I did get a recipe that I had at somebody's house that I really liked, I would change it. I mean, that's just the way I am. You have to make it your own. I can't cook anything without changing it. I can't even make macaroni and cheese without adding stuff to it. I'm going to make a rub, okay, to put on this pork butt. I'm going to start with salt. We're going to just sprinkle kosher salt all over this thing, lightly. I was reading a recipe, and he did it an interesting way that I'm going to try, and because I have 500 degrees, put it on a broil pan and stuck it in there for 10 minutes, and that ended up searing or quickly cooking the outside of the roast. So now we're going to take fresh cracked pepper and all around this bad boy, just like we did with the salt, just to get a good coating. And then we're going to let it marinate overnight. If you have a big bowl, you can put it in there. I'm going to wrap it in my food saver and seal it that way. You can put it in the crock pot itself and then put it in the refrigerator. So we got salt and pepper. Now, one of the key ingredients I think here is one that I picked up today that I never even heard of before today. It was in the research, and I found it at my local store for $3.69. It's called gochujang, and it is a Korean chili sauce. I tried it. It's really good. It's kind of smoky. It's kind of it's got some sweetness to it, but man, it packs a punch too. So okay, so I'm gonna sprinkle ginger on there. Ginger. I don't want to have to rotate this too many times, so I'll sprinkle a bunch of stuff on one end. And this is just for, I'm going to do fresh ginger and garlic in the sauce that I make. So powdered garlic, powdered ginger for now, and a little bit of ground mustard. Chinese 5-spice blend, which, so I love it. It's got some, I think it has like anise in it, and I don't even know if it says what's in it. Anise, cinnamon, clover, star anise, and ground ginger. And I actually have all of these ingredients. I don't know if you've ever seen star anise, but it grows in Asia, and they're pine. They're actually little stars, and they smell and taste kind of like black licorice. And I was doing Chinese 5-spice. We're going to sprinkle it on there, and if you all sides. So I'm just going to repeat the process. Ginger, garlic, some ground mustard, And so the thought behind the mustard, right, was that when I do a pork butt, when I smoke it, or ribs, or anything like that, I coat the sucker in mustard first, right, before I put any of that stuff on there. And it's got a really good base. It's got some of the vinegar in there, obviously mustard seed. I'm not doing regular mustard. I'm going to do dry mustard and see how it turns out. I think the end product, I can taste it in my mind. I know what I want it to taste like, and I just kind of go from there. My wife asked me one time, she's like, well, how do you know all those seasonings are going to go together when I was making something? I was like, I just do. I can picture it, I can taste it, I can smell it. Like, I'm going to do the ends. I'm going to go backwards this time. Mustard. Like I said, I have. So now that I've got that, I mean, I'm sure that by itself would probably be pretty good for marinade, but I'm going to do, so I have some sake, some just generic, cheap of the line. I don't think this was even $7, just some regular sake, a dry white wine if you have one. So I'm going to do 1/4 cup, 1/4 cup sake. 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. 1/4 cup of honey. So, one of my favorite kind of honeys, it's a local honey we have here, but you might be able to find it or order it. They have it in health food sections at some stores. It's raw, unprocessed honey. And this stuff is like, it's like candy, guys. I mean, cannot go wrong with that. This is also what I used. If you ever have made honey butter or wanted to, you just get your butter soft and do almost like a half and half ratio. This with butter, and it blends right in. It's the best honey butter you'll ever have. This goes really good on sauces and glazes because it's, see how thick that stuff is, but it'll melt down really quick. So 1/4 cup, 2 tablespoons of gochujang, or 1/4 cup of brown sugar. Anytime you measure brown sugar, what do you gotta do? You gotta pack it, right? Okay, because regular sugar is granulated. You can't pack it down, so it packs itself down when you go to measure it. 1/4 cup. We're gonna mix this up. So you see, we got that. It's nice and thick. We are going to make it big enough to put that pork butt in there. That might be a little too much. I'd rather have too much than not enough. Let me grab that pork butt. I don't have enough to be able to seal the end, so like I said, I'd rather have too much than not enough. I got tons of rolls of this. I'm going to hit the seal button, and we're just going to stick it in there. We're just going to let that seal up. Then we're going to take that crazy mixture we made earlier with the sake and the rice wine, a spatula. I'm going to dump it right into this bag. I mean, you just want to coat it. And if you're at home and you don't have one of these, just dump it in there, rub it all over, throw it in a bowl, whatever. Just cover it up. Seal it. You don't have to have it sealed up. I just like to use my food saver bags. I'm gonna hit the moist setting, but when I stick this in here, you can hit the seal. I don't know if you guys can see that. All right, there. So you can hit the seal button on here at any time, and it'll just start sealing. So once the juices start going into this thing, I'm gonna hit the seal button because I don't want to suck all the juices out of here and fill up my tray in there. Okay, so we're just gonna push this back.
Hey, buddy. What's the matter?
I got my hand on the seal button. It's sucking all the air out of there. I'm gonna help it out just a little bit and seal. All right, so that's sealed up nice, and I didn't get any of those juices in there. So this way, this can just soak. And if you want, you can kind of squeeze it down. It gets a better marinade. Now that's perfect. That's better than having a, or you can use a Ziploc bag even if you want. Whatever you got. I just know that this is not going to leak anywhere in my refrigerator. So yeah, we're gonna throw it in there overnight. Good morning. It is super early in the morning. I have preheated my oven on convection roast to, well, I set it for 500, but it re-averts this up to 25 degrees less, so 475. I'm going to try to sear this in the oven. I've taken an onion and quartered it, and I've got 4 cups of chicken stock ready to go. Just kind of pull it apart. I quartered it, like I said. I'm going to put these in the bottom. We're just going to put our pork roast right on top of it. And I pulled this out about 10 minutes ago. Looks pretty good. I'm going to cut this open. I want to save all these juices, so I'm going to dump all the juices from the marinade right into the crock pot. So I put aluminum foil on the bottom of the boiler pan. I did spray some canola oil on the top of this. So I'm just going to place it right on top of here. I've got this placed right in the center of this right here. So the oven's on roast. If you have a normal oven, just put it on bake for 500 degrees. And open the oven, step back. I got that, so it's right in the middle there. And we're just gonna place this right in there, in the middle of the oven for 10 minutes. And so it's been 10 minutes, and we're gonna step back and look at that thing. I'm gonna pull it out. That is perfect. That worked wonderfully. I was able to get some other stuff done while I was searing this instead of having to continually watch it and flip it in the oven or in the pan. So that worked out great. I also decided we're going to add a couple of other things here. I've got 4 cloves of garlic just peeled and smashed. I'll put it right in the bottom there. I'm also going to take, actually I just decided to do this, 4 cloves, whole cloves, and just drop them in the bottom there. We're just going to add them in there for flavor. So we're going to place it right on top of the onions and the garlic and the clove. And it already smells wonderful. Stir up the chicken stock, just make sure we got it all. 4 cups of chicken stock. While I was working out, I decided that I also want to add some ginger, so I took about a 1.5 inch chunk of ginger and just sliced it up. I'm going to throw it in the crock pot just around the roast, just to infuse some more of that delicious flavor. Said I'm going to put it on low, put the lid on, and let that cook for, I'll be home in 10 hours, so we'll check it then. So I got home about a half an hour ago and I took this out to cool, which you want to do with any meat, you just let it cool. So we're going to go ahead and shred it now. It's going to take 2 forks, and if you have a bear claw or whatever you got, and look how, oh, that's so tender. And the reason you want to let it sit and cool and not tear it into it right away so it does remain nice and juicy, because we took all the juices from the crock pot and we dumped those out because we don't want them. Doing this, pull out any fat or anything that you don't want. I don't like fat, so I'm going to pull it out. It should just slide right off of there. Okay, so we got the pork all shredded. It looks fantastic. I could just eat it like that, I mean, but we're going to make it even better. So next we're going to make the slaw so it has a moment to sit and rest while we are making the sauce. So what I have for you is 1 bag of your favorite coleslaw mix, 16 ounces, 1 pound, about 4 cups of slaw. You can make it yourself if you want. I usually just buy the bags, it's cheap and easy, and I'm busy. So and I go through and I pick out all the big, huge, like big pieces like this. I don't want those in there, so just get those out. And we are going to start with a lime. Going to take a lime here, and we are going to zest it into our coleslaw. Tap that off in there. And we're just going to cut it in half. And we want the juice from half of a lime. So I'm going to move this out of the way. We're going to do make sure we don't get any seeds in there. 1/2 cup of sour cream. That's right, folks, a dollop of daisy. Most slaws you see have some sort of mayonnaise base, or a lot of them I looked up for recipes like this have the same ingredients that were already in the pork and already in the sauce, and you're just compounding the same flavors on top of each other. That's not what we want. We want like different flavors that blend together in your mouth and make you go, oh mama! So that's what we're going for here. We don't want all the same flavors. We want a bunch of different flavors that are going to have a little party in our mouth when we're done. So we have 1 tablespoon of sweet chili sauce, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of rice vinegar, right in there. And then we're just going to mix that up. We're going to add that to our slaw and just stir it up. It might look a little dry right now, but as it sits for, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes, it'll get a little bit more moist. That's going to add a nice creamy crunch to, a zesty creamy crunch to our deliciously sweet and spicy pork tacos. So we're going to make our sauce here. I'm going to start with 1/2 cup of water, 1/2 cup of soy sauce. Before I put anything else in there, I'm going to take and stir in my cornstarch while everything's nice and cold. If I can find my dish. Okay. So we have 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. So we're just going to whisk that right in there. Make sure we get it all out. I'm going to turn on the heat, medium. Got it on about 6. So we're going to start adding the rest of the ingredients. I have 1/4 cup of hoisin sauce. 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce. Seems a bit fishy to me too. We're going to do 1/4 cup of honey. I do the raw unprocessed honey. You can use whatever honey you have. If you don't have honey, just use some extra brown sugar. I like to split it in half. You could do a 1/2 cup of brown sugar if you don't want to do honey, or if you're allergic to it. Try to get all that out of there. Sticky stuff, but man, is it good.
They treat you
So
like
we're
a
going to
volunteer,
add
but they-
1 teaspoon of sesame oil. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar. 1 tablespoon of sake. 1/4 cup of packed brown sugar. We have 1/2 teaspoon of Chinese 5 spice. We have 3 cloves of chopped garlic, minced fine garlic. And we have about a 1-inch chunk of ginger, about the same amount of garlic to ginger ratio. And then we have 2 tablespoons of gochujang Korean chili paste.
Look at me.
We're gonna get it to a nice rolling boil. I mean, you want that sucker hot. We're gonna let it boil like this. We said about 5-ish minutes till it starts to get nice and thick. It'll get thicker as it cools. So basically, we're just trying to get that garlic and the ginger cooked. Reduce it just a little bit, but that cornstarch is what's gonna thicken it up for us. And it smells fantastic. Can you smell that?
Nope.
So it's been going for about 5 minutes now. We are going to shut it off, and off just by adding about half of this. We're gonna just stir it up. Oh man.
Good job.
Looks and smells fantastic. We're getting that nice caramely glaze. I'm just gonna go ahead and add it all in there. Yeah, now let's build some tacos. So we're gonna take 2, and I'm just using soft shell tacos. I'm not gonna use fried wontons or anything like that. You can get the smaller ones, or these are the medium sized ones, because I like to eat. So we're just gonna pile that right in the middle there. Then we're gonna top it off with some slaw, and this stuff is gonna add some delicious crunch. And there you have it, folks. Korean slow cooker pork tacos. Hope you enjoy. Those tacos were off the hook delicious. Had I could taste them in my mind before I made them, just by looking at seeing them online and like taking it from that to this. But it took me 3 days to come up with the recipe, and it's just about perfect, guys. My wife loved it just the way it was. Jeff, my friend, and myself actually added a little bit more gochujang onto the tacos themselves. So in the final recipe, I'm going to put 1/4 to 1/2 a cup, depending on if you like spicy or not spicy. I'll put like a mild and a medium, we'll call it. So this is a definite need to try recipe. Give it a try.